All right. Shalom, everybody. Shalom. You back again with your brew. That's me, Ban Shemayim, back with another one. Today's video, we are going into, let's get it. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let me pop that back up. Okay. Today's video, we are going into this, right? This was sent to me by 123J, and I tapped a couple other articles that I was planning on doing in with it, right? So this says Ruto speaks on dollar shortage, promises to protect businesses amid opposition protests. So if you didn't know, Kenya, this is from NYT or NY or NTV Kenya. I don't know where I got Y from. NTV Kenya, right? Um, and this is talking about them getting out the dollar. All right. So without further ado, let's get into it.
For the people who work numbers, I am giving you free advice that those of you who are holding dollars, you surely might go into losses. You better do what you must do, because this market is going to be different in a couple of weeks. Advice.
You hear that? He said, look, if y'all holding dollars, y'all better get rid of it.
Those of you who are holding dollars, you surely might go into losses. You better.
You gonna go into losses.
You better do what you must do, because this market is going to be different in a couple of weeks. And secondly, we, through the central bank, we are having conversations to reinstate the interbank exchange market that has since not worked. And I am happy that the players in that sector, including our banks, are coming forward and they are participating, and they are working with the central bank so that we can again take charge of our market, and that it is not allowed to be distorted by brokers. I'm told the only place where brokers are accepted is at the exchange. Anywhere else, they are banned. And so I just want to assure those in Kenya who are facing challenges of access to dollars that we have taken steps to ensure that dollar availability in the next couple of weeks is going to be very different, because our fuel companies will now be paying for fuel in Kenya shillings. They do not have to look for dollars every month, because we have done what we must do as government to ensure.
So they're fuel companies, which I'm assuming is one of their biggest ways to make money, which is why they have a dollar shortage, because they trade their oil. Most countries were trading it in the U.S. dollar. Excuse me. So if they trade their oil, So if they trade their oil in the U.S. dollar, and then the U.S. dollar is taking money out the system, then the amount of dollars in the system are smaller, which makes the value of the dollar rise. But for people in this country where you might not have that many dollars, and then the dollars are getting tighter and tighter, you don't have enough dollars to go around. So it's like we trading our oil in another currency. Let's keep it going.
That we ease the burden on people who want to realize their returns in dollars. And I was being told by the chairman of NSE, so Mr. Chairman, you have nothing to worry about. We have taken adequate steps to make sure that that is sorted.
So he's saying for people who want to still deal with dollars, they're taking the appropriate steps to make sure if you got most of your money in dollars, you could still deal with dollars. But remember, he gave a pre-warning that, look, to people holding on to the dollars, hey, do what you got to do, right? Let's keep it going.
Let me also confirm to you that the government of Kenya, as I made a commitment, we are going to be listing public-owned entities shortly. And I like the fact that you have said you are ready to take me on. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. So I never lose sight of this contest, because in my desk, right in front of my desk, is the bull and the bell you gave me when I came here the last time. I also want to give you my commitment that the business and investment environment in Kenya is secure and conducive on a sustainable basis. Through the rule of law, the government will take robust measures to honor and respect the rights of all, and measures and demonstrate. Let me take that again. I also want to give you my commitment that the business and investment environment in Kenya is secure and conducive on a continuous basis. Through the rule of law, the government will take robust measures to honor and respect the rights of all, and demonstrate that no one is above the law by decisively combating impunity, lawlessness, and disorder. We have a duty to ensure that every worker and every hustler, from a Mamboga MSME to the global multinational corporation operating in Kenya, enjoy a conducive environment to pursue their goals unhindered.
I like that. He said every worker and every hustler. I like that. I like that.
There is no reason whatsoever for anyone to stand in the way of free enterprise, disrupt business, or sabotage economic activity, or work as economic terrorists for personal selfish interest. Such impunity must be dealt with firmly, and full accountability enforced to vindicate Kenya's commitment as a free market economy. Once again, I congratulate Lab Trust and CPF.
So pretty much you can see where we're going with these videos, right? So this is from the next video is U.S. bank fallout, more banks expected to go the Silicon Valley way. This is from Aura Solution Company Limited. This woman used to work for Wion. Excuse me. But I guess she worked for another company now. So congratulations to her new job. And without further ado, let's get it.
Meanwhile, America's banking crisis is still hurting the world. 2 American banks failed earlier this month, and this is the fallout. America's biggest banks have taken a hit. The big 4 banks lost $52 billion. Global markets suffered losses too. This month, they've lost as much as $1 trillion. A major bank in Europe has been sold, Credit Suisse.
Y'all hear that? Within the last month, the banks have lost $1 trillion. $1 trillion, y'all. Let's keep it going.
Is being bought by rival UBS. The deal was engineered by the Swiss government. Now, the world often talks about America's military firepower and how lethal its weapons can be. But U.S. banks can be just as lethal. In 2008, remember, they triggered a global financial crisis, and now they've caused yet another meltdown. The worst might be yet to come. A new report says that as many as 186 banks in the U.S. could be in trouble. 186 banks.
186 banks could be in trouble. It says dropping the value of government bonds, mortgage-backed securities. So the value dropping in bonds and in mortgage-backed securities is the reason that all of these banks are in trouble, right? 186.
This is the finding of a study done by 4 American economists. They say more than 180 banks could, quote-unquote, go the way of Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley Bank, or SVB, is based in San Francisco. It's where the entire crisis began. It was the first American bank to collapse. It had run out of money. The bank did not have enough money to pay its depositors. Now imagine the same happening to 186 banks.
You hear that? So the SVB ran out of money to pay the people who had deposited their money into the bank. So she's saying, imagine if that happened to 186 banks. Let's keep it going.
Apparently, they have the same problems, a high level of uninsured deposits and a significant drop of government bonds. We've told you about this before. These banks bought government securities, government bonds. They're considered a safe bet, a good investment. So the money that people deposit in banks was parked in these bonds. But soon the value of these bonds declined. That's because America's central bank, the US Federal Reserve, jacked up interest rates. It brought new bonds into the market, and they offered better interest rates. So the old bonds became worthless. They lost their value. And the banks which are under pressure still hold a sizable number of the old bonds. SVB dumped its bonds at a loss. It had no other option. It had to pay the depositors. The bank lost almost $2 billion in that transaction. Ultimately, it collapsed. What happens if the same story repeats at 186 banks? Needless to say, the losses will be massive. In fact, I have a copy of the study with me. Listen to what it says. Even if only half of uninsured depositors decide to withdraw, almost 190 banks are at a potential risk of impairment to even insured depositors, with potentially $300 billion of insured deposits at risk.
So they're saying that the banks can't even cover the insurance that they're supposed to cover to insure. Excuse me, y'all. Where you're supposed to insure up to $250,000. They're saying that the banks can't even cover the insurance. These 190 banks can't cover the insurance of the customers who have $250,000 or less, because that's all they cover. If you got millions, they're not covering the rest of your money. But if you got $250,000 or less, they're supposed to cover it, and they're like, they don't have the money to cover it. Let's keep it going.
If uninsured deposit withdrawals even cause even small fire sales, substantially more banks are at risk. So $300 billion would be at risk, and it may have a ripple effect. That's what the study is saying. Already one more American bank is teetering. It's called First Republic. Its stock has been losing value. In 2 weeks, it has slumped by 90%. A few days ago, 11 banks stepped in to save First Republic. They injected $30 billion in cash. It was supposed to be a lifeline, but it hasn't helped. The cash infusion could not calm investors. The value of the stock is still falling. Wall Street CEOs are in a huddle, trying to come up with a new plan. If other banks are at risk, 180 others, like this report says, it wouldn't take a lot of time for the crisis to spread to other markets. This, remember, is a worst-case scenario. We can only hope it doesn't come to this.
So pretty much what they're saying is, if these other banks, if the banks continue to fall, right, then what's going to happen is the pain is going to spread to world markets. And this is what I was talking about before. When America dollar drops, everybody's dollars drop. Everybody's dollar is going to drop. When America dollar ends, we're talking the end of fiat currency. We moving on to the digital system. So people got to be prepared for this. This video is called Saudi Arabia's $1 billion bet. Is this the end of the US dollar? And this is by the Geopolitics and Conflict show, right? And we're not going to watch too much of this. We're just going to watch a little bit. He's going to talk about what's going on with Saudi Arabia a little bit.
One said, I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. Thomas Jefferson once said, I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. Take a step back and consider the following. U.S. Special Forces seize oil refineries in Saudi Arabia. The king is worrying about an internal plot to assassinate him. The U.S. government freezes all Saudi gold in the U.S. The U.S. Congress issued a report about Saudi Arabia's human rights record. Reassessments of the U.S. security assistance for the Desert Kingdom. and tensions between Riyadh and Washington flares up beyond belief. This could be the outcome scenario if and when Saudi Arabia decides to dump the US dollar from all energy transactions. The outcome? We'll see a seismic change in the global financial system. The call for Bretton Woods, too, becomes louder and louder. And this reality will definitely demand your attention and that of diplomats, geopolitical analysts, intelligence officers, investors, and the rest of the world writ large. For now, suffice it to say, Saudi Arabia trading in Chinese renminbi, yuan, is a fait accompli. So what's next? In this video, I'm going to provide you my assessments about this topic, given not only the long-term geopolitical and economic impact this will have, but also how this could mark the end of the US-Saudi relations as we know it. So, fasten your seatbelt.
All right, so that's all we were listening to for that one. So we could actually get to the other part where we were talking about. The reason I put this is because Saudi Arabia has recently started trading in different type of currencies, their oil for different currencies. Like China, they're using the yuan. To deal with Russia's trade, they're using a ruble. So they've started trading with different currencies than the American dollar. Saudi moves a lot of oil throughout the world. And what they're saying is, what the guy was saying in the video is, if they decide to, if they decide to turn all of their oil, all of their resources, and trade all of their resources without the dollar, that would end the dollar almost immediately. And we know that Saudi Arabia is dealing with Iran, China, Russia, and linking up with the rest of the world, and the world is de-dollarizing. We just watched it with Kenya. We're hearing about it with Saudi Arabia. We watched how the lady on the news was saying that the American banks falling could cause catastrophe for every bank throughout the world, for all the other countries in the world, which we know that would happen because everybody is kind of linked with our dollar, right? So without further ado, we're going to get into these scriptures. So we're going into Hebrews 13:5, and it says, "Let your conversation, a way or a manner of fashion, be without covetousness," right? Without money, without love of money, right? Be without love of money, and be content to assist or suffice, right? With such things as ye have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Right? Because we watching this money issue go on. And a lot of people love money, but no matter what country you in and what money you using, all these monies are going to fall with the dollar, right? So this one, we're going to Proverbs 11:4, right? It says, riches profit not in the day of wrath, right? So in the day, remember the Bible says, we just read this last week. It says that I will bring you back with poured out fury, right? It says riches profit not in the day of wrath, which is overflow, arrogance, fury. So the day of God's wrath, the fury of God, it says riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death, right? So having money is not going to save people. God is right now giving people ideas, and I believe certain people have ideas to help other people. There are people who won't have the means to help themselves, won't have the money, and they don't necessarily have the faith to put in the work to try to even achieve the money to get a little bit of their plans done. But I believe, like as in for my case, that I'm trying to do something that'll help. You know, first the people that we're close to, but then after that, help as many people as God would allow me to help, right? And that was the ordeal. Otherwise, I could have just stocked up and had food, water, stocked up bullets and guns, and I could have just stayed in the house through the whole thing and been like, you know what, I'm straight. If somebody try to come take mine, I'm going to murder them. But these ideas that God has given me, I'm trying to do something that will be able to produce food and produce different things that we could help more people than just ourselves versus just having stored up an amount. We could actually be part of the production that could help people who have none stored up, or no backup plans or secondary plans for the times that we're going through, right? Now this is 1 Timothy 5, and we're going to go to 8, right? It says, matter of fact, let's start at 5 and 5, right? It says, now she that is a widow indeed and desolate trusteth God, and continueth in supplication and prayers night and day. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. And these things give in charge, right? And these things give in charge, right? Transmit a message to. So give this understanding to the people in charge, that they may be blameless, right? But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he have denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Because I know there are brothers, since we're talking about the collapse of the money and getting prepared, I know there are brothers and sisters who are preparing. But it says, in these things give in charge, that they may be blameless. But if any provide, right, to foresee, to make plans, not for his own, right, the people he's close to, the people he cares about, the people he know, right, and especially, right, so most of all, for those of his own house, of one's own family, domestic. It says, he have denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Incredible unbelieving, right? So it's worse than an unbelieving person, right? Because he denied the faith. He weren't prepared for what's coming, right? So I brought this up because I want people to know, just because you got riches, you got to plan for other people other than yourself, or else you're going to end up not making it neither, because you're going to be treated as an infidel. Money is just a tool to achieve a means. If you're chasing money as a tool for betterment, understand all money will eventually go away and you will be left with nothing. If you don't have your own land, or you don't have a way to get natural food and things like that, you, regardless of how much money you have, you're going to have to adhere to a new system. What did the Bible say? That anybody who buys, or that none will be able to buy or sell save they have the mark. So unless you got the mark of the beast in your forehead or in your hand, you will not be able to buy or sell in the next system that comes up after America. So your money will be worthless, right? And this is more proof of that. This is Psalms 37, and we're going to start at 16. It says, a little that a righteous man hath, right? So the little bit that a righteous man hath is better than the riches of many wicked, right? Is better than the riches of many wicked. For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord uphold the righteous. Right? So it says a little that the righteous may have. So the little wealth that we have now is better than the riches of many wicked, because the riches can't help you through this time. Your riches won't be able to. Right now is the time that you could use your riches to get put in a better place to be helped through the tough time we're going through. But when the tough time finish complete, when the banks finish shutting down, how you going to get your money out the bank? When the dollar collapses, what you going to do with your dollar? What you going to do with your money in the bank? What you going to do with anything that you have? Right? So it says a little that a righteous man hath is better than the riches of many wicked, right? Because the little that the righteous man have, he not he not rich. He don't have the riches of these wicked people, right? So the little bit he got, he gonna do the best he can with his little bit to survive. He's been surviving off of a little bit for a long time. That also teaches you how to make it in life. Remember growing up, if anybody grew up like this, 80s babies. Remember growing up and when you would go to the store and get like, I love milk, right? And you get like 2-3 gallons of milk. And that had to last you the whole month. Remember that first week or two, you ran through the milk. 2 gallons done. Now you got 2 weeks left in 1 gallon. You take like a bowl of cereal or something. You watch that milk gallon get to the half, and you stop even dealing with the milk. You like, hold on, I gotta make this stretch because you knew you wasn't gonna get no more milk. That was the benefit of being poor. It wasn't just like, oh, we just rush to the store, we out of milk. That's not how we grew up. You went to shop at the store once a month, and that stuff lasted you to the next month when you went to go shop. You didn't go shop every time you needed something. Just go in and shop. Remember going to go shop and you leaving with 2-3 buggies filled with groceries, having to bring those in, fill everything up? That was the way it was, right? And that actually is a benefit for people. That's a benefit for the poorer people because we're used to going through it. So I don't want to discourage people because I know I talk about planning a lot and making plans. The first place you need to plan is in your spirit, is internally. Get right with God, get under the righteousness of God, and then allow God to give you these understandings that we be talking about what's going to happen, what's coming. And look it up and get a better understanding of that. This is going to happen. This is coming. I can see, look, the news is saying this. This is exactly what the Bible was talking about, right? And once you're able to do that, once you're able to say, look, this is exactly what the Bible was talking about, now you can understand. And once you gain understanding, God is allow you to take whatever out of whatever you have to make preparations. You don't have to be rich to survive what's going on. You just got to plan. That's it. You just got to plan. And this is for one of the ladies in the comments. I'm going to respond to your comment, but I didn't even read any more comments after I got the notification for your comment in. Let me see if I could find, because I don't think I even went to the comment. So I should have it in my should have it in my oh, they took it down. They took it down. That's all right. This is from Bridget LaBella, right? Matter of fact, I could have went to it. It says, I'm not sure that I want to survive a blast like that. I believe the Most High calling me home. I'm not built to deal with that kind of death and destruction. And since everyone is appointed to die once, I'm going to take that as my cue. Cut and scene. Now, I don't have a full problem with that. If God put the understanding that you might pass through this time in you, that, like, who am I to go against that, right? If God put that in you. But there's a couple things I did want to talk about. When it says I'm not built to deal with that kind of death and destruction, Christ says in Matthew 24 that those who endure to the end, the same shall be called saved, right? Christ also says in Revelations, or it's written in Revelations, that if you survive the first death, like if you don't die during the first death, the second death will have no bearing on you. So you won't, that book won't be up and you won't have to get judged, right? And the reason I went into that is because not everybody is appointed a death. See, we get that wrong. Like it's not a war going on in the world. Like Christ wanted to die. Christ, our Savior, Yeshua Wamasiach, in the flesh, he didn't want to die. He was crying to God with tears falling out, asking God to save him from death, to deliver him from death, and he still had to die. So it was everything might be appointed, meaning it was written down. It's written down like the book of life from beginning to ending. God knows what's happening, but there's a war going on, and like the Bible says, the angel of death is the last thing that Christ himself is going to put under his footstool. So death is the enemy of God. So it's not like God is like, death, go grab her. No, this is a war. So if you do what righteous, because there are going to be a lot of people that perish and come back. So if that's the case for this young lady, man, more props to you. But the reason I brought up the surviving and doing all of that, and this is why I brought her comment up. This is why I brought your comment up if you're watching. I brought that up because if you do survive the nuclear attack and then you don't have the iodine pills and you don't have, because not everybody is going to die from the impact of the nuke. That's actually going to be very rare. Most of the people who die from a nuclear attack are going to die from the after effects of attacks. So, and that's going to be a horrible death. We're talking about years to decades of torture and pain, cancers and everything else, because you survived the nuclear attack and wasn't prepared. So my thing is, if, like I say, if you believe that, then I would talk to God about it. If that's going to happen, then I hope God works it out in whichever manner that's best, that benefits you, right? But if that's not God's will and that's your own will, but not God's will, if he's putting a task on you for the coming time to go through something that you don't think you're built to survive through, but God believes you are, right? Make sure you're at least prepared. Because with, iodine pills, different things like that. Because if you do happen to make it through, the last thing you want is a slow, grueling death at the end of the country, at the end of America, which is right before crisis comes. You're like a step now before Christ comes. Before Yeshua Wamasiach come, you a step before he come if you make it through the fall of America, right? So if you make it that far in the game, you don't want to just be sick and cancerous and die out. And there's ways to prevent that. And there are brothers and sisters, so working. That's what we out here doing. I'm not saying all of us, because I know that's not true, but that's some of us. Bridget Labella, some of us is out here working and trying to get stuff together, trying to get land, trying to get different things together. So when times get really bad, we can help people, right? So don't just close off all your boxes, because there will be help for God's faithful, right? It will be help through the. Remember how we grew up when we was poor and things was bad. We always made it through. Your lights get cut off, miraculously they get cut back on, or something came through. It was our God has always come through. So just because it might get tighter than we might have ever experienced it, trust and believe God will pull you through. And anything he pulls us through, we're stronger for making it, right? So I want to thank you for that comment. I love that that you commented, and I will end up responding to that comment. But I put everybody else comment on hold because it just, when I read it, I had to think more in depthly to give you a response. I didn't just want to write something and then maybe you took what I was writing as offensive. Because if God's got something for you, who am I? But I'm just saying, if God don't, I would prepare anyways. Even if it's not for yourself. Say you prepare and your preparement goes to somebody else that you care about or love, like we went through the scriptures. Like a person who don't take care of their own family or the people closest to them, is an infidel, right? So maybe your preparation will lead to the help for somebody else. And if you're not able to prepare, just prepare in the spirit and prepare with God. I understand not everybody got the money to do the things, and it's getting tight, and that's why I pray that there are a bunch of people, because I know that there are some people, but I pray that God is putting it in the hearts of a bunch of people to start pre-planning for this situation. Like, I think I've talked to people who are doing something similar to preparations for these type of events, and I don't believe, after talking to them, I didn't even believe they knew what they were doing it for. Like, they got a big grand idea which would flourish 20, 30 years later, but I don't think they even know that what they're doing is creating a safe bug out spot for the time to come. Not for 30 years later, but for in a few years when the time comes. So on that note, I just want to say, if you like the video or if you didn't like the video, hit the like button. Let's hop in these comments and talk about it. Let's hop in these comments and talk about it. This will be the second video that I drop on Thursday. I am going to try to come out with the 2 videos for Friday. Now, I've been in this chair, man. My back is killing me. I got 2 days to get these next 2 videos, and I really would like to do them because, like I said, one is about the modern day lynching that just happened in Mississippi, and then the other one, in some of the other racial incidents, and then the other video is literally going to be about other nations, even our own nation, saying that we need to forget about slavery. So those are the 2 videos for Friday. Hopefully I am still able to do them. But like I said, whether you like or you didn't like, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. And let's hop in the comments and talk about this. What do y'all think about the economic situation? What do you think is going to happen? And for people who don't have a plan, who don't have the income, who don't have anything like that, do they know of any people or have they talked to any people that are planning things like that? Let's hop in the comments and let's talk about it, all right? And on that note, I just want to say Thawada, which means thank you. Kaula Haya by Hashem Yeshaya, which is all praises to the Most High in the name of His Son. And Barakatah, which is bless you. Right? Barakatah, Barakatah. Thawada, which means thank you for watching, and Barakatah, peace and blessings. So on that note, I just want to say peace. Shalom, y'all. Peace out. Barakatah.